but you can't see it. Got it. Okay.
John, you're going to place that map up there, right?
Yes.
Because you talk these Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket have mystified me for years.
Have you not been here?
I've been I was in Hyannis when I was like in high school.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have not been back up to that region since at all.
That's a sin, Roberto. It's not that far.
No, I know.
Things have changed.
I know.
Come
Guys,
out.
I'm gonna have to drop off 10 minutes before we're done. Because I have a 5 o'clock appointment, which I forgot about. So you guys will be able to handle it, but I'm just gonna enjoy it. But maybe I'll chime in the beginning and ask a fun question.
Sounds great.
Nothing too
Sounds
challenging, Meredith.
Remember-
No. We're all on the same page.
Okay, good. I just
My
texted Jennifer Brunette.
dear friend, John, that is some upgrade to your backdrop. Love it. So
Isn't that
much
bad?
better than those empty shelves.
I knew I had to leave the office and come back to the home office because
Are
you
those
would
all
make
your
fun of me.
diplomas?
That is gorgeous.
All your awards? All of
And
your
John,
awards?
John, I'm gonna bring an orchid to your new office so you won't look silly. I'm gonna bring it next week.
They make fun of me because I'm in a new office with empty white shelves behind me. And so I put an orange on each shelf for the podcast.
The minimalist approach.
Yeah, and nobody
I like it.
really liked that. So
I'm gonna
now I'm
bring you a-
back at the home.
I'm gonna bring you a beautiful orchid that is a welcoming gift, and you'll be able to brag to everybody that Meredith brought it.
Were you guys just in an event together?
Yes,
I thought I saw that.
we went to a black tie and at the Bruce Museum in Greenwich. It's their annual fundraiser, and we ran into each other at the bar. And at one point we're like, "Oh, we got to go to the table. What table are you? 20. Oh, we're at 20." So it was just crazy. Yeah,
Perfect.
All the beautiful people.
beautiful
were there.
event. And Melissa had her jewels on. There was a security guard following her. She looked amazing.
That means business is good.
Yes. I got the full backstory on all the baubles.
How about the car?
I didn't see the transportation.
There's a
road.
car.
I'm
John's very quiet about it.
No, I'm not quiet about it. No, no. But I'm here to talk about Martha's Vineyard today.
John, when was the last time you were here?
Well, we're going to get into that.
A long
Are we
time.
ready to begin?
There's
Ready.
Jenny.
Go.
There's Jen. Hi, Jen. Let's give it another minute. Roberto, how are you doing? Have you been out east this season?
A little. We were away. We were actually in Paris for my wife's birthday, so we haven't gotten out there, which was awesome. But we're going this weekend.
Excellent.
So
Excellent. All right.
gavel.
All right, yeah. Let's begin. It's 4:01. Very excited to begin Boroughs and Burbs episode 52. And this is the Martha's Vineyard show. And I am very pleased to introduce my two guests. Let me pull up my screen, hit share, boom. Britt Bast of MVLandVest and her partner Cheri Mason of MVLandVest in Edgartown, Martha's Vineyard. And if you're wondering where Edgartown is, according to my map here, it looks like it's the entire southeast quarter or southeast third of the island. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and it's got Chappaquiddick, and I was confused. Is Chappaquiddick an island, or is it part of, or is it a peninsula? So I guess we'll get into that as well. But
See, I was so ignorant. I thought that was in Hyannis.
I thought so too. Yeah, so the
Close, down the
Chappaquiddick
gate.
thing is very confusing. Oh, there's Scott Hobbs. Welcome.
gonna get-
I'll make you a
We're gonna get your
co-host.
bearings straight, Roberto. We're gonna get
Good. We need to start very macro and then come in.
exactly.
So Martha's Vineyard, in my research, I started to read about it and it confirmed some of the things that I had suspected. that the prices are going bananas, just like everywhere else, that it's a beach community, that it swells from 20,000 people to, I think, 200,000 people in season. And so I said, oh, okay, I think I get it. But then I started to learn that it's twice the size of the East Hampton to Montauk area. And it's 10 times the size of Block Island or Nantucket. So I started to realize it's a very big island, and it's probably a whole lot more diverse in its economy and its people and what it offers than some of these strictly beach communities. So with that as a backdrop, why don't you tell me what I should know? What are the basics that everybody should know about Martha's Vineyard?
Martha's Vineyard is comprised of 6 different towns. So you're right, it is over 100 square miles.
Oh, wow.
The diversity is unbelievable. I mean, we've got Edgartown, where we primarily preside, and which is very much similar to, say, more of a Nantucket feel. A very classic New England, very exclusive, very expensive, but also just, shall we say, shops, restaurants, and then other parts of the island, such as Aquina or Chilmark or West Tisbury, are much more farm, rural, country, horses, property, much larger lots, 2 to 3 acres. Then you'll see other parts of the island too. What, Tisbury here, Oak Bluffs.
Yeah, so each
another-
town really is so very different. You know, again, from Edgartown out to Aquina, Chilmark, Rolling Hills, Harbor, you know, fishing shacks.
in Menempsha.
Yeah, so it's, you know, again, it's definitely worth the visit because it's just got so much to offer.
And there's something for everyone, something for everyone.
Would you guys say that Edgartown is sort of the central part of where the activity is? I know Oak Bluffs has its own sort of personality and activity and things like that, but Edgartown seems like it's where a lot of people are coming and going. The airport, I think, is in Edgartown technically. So it's also the most historical and most active area. Is that accurate?
That's right. I guess I would say
Oak Bluffs.
Edgartown, yeah, Oak Bluffs has a really lively, bustling, energetic scene, maybe a slightly younger crowd. Edgartown tends to be a little more reserved,
Mhm.
but it has a great downtown area. So again, the shops, the galleries, the restaurants, yes, the airport, golf courses, and we have the harbor. Oak Bluffs has one as well, but our harbor, you know, we have a small ferry that comes into Edgartown.
But the large ferries come into Oak Bluffs where the cars come off. So
Okay.
if you're bringing your vehicle, the only way to get here is through Oak Bluffs or Vineyard Haven, the other port.
The top points, those northern points.
Exactly. Closest to the Cape, Vineyard Haven and Oak Bluffs.
And you'll see those on John's map there.
And for
So you asked-
Roberto's knowledge, there's a little ferry in Edgartown that takes you over to Chappaquiddick called the On Time Ferry. And
Yes.
only one car, I think, correct me girls if I'm wrong,
Three
takes three cars. That's it.
At a time.
Yeah.
And on any given day in the middle of the summer, that line could be 2 hours, an hour and a half long.
Wow.
Get your car, right, but you can
get
just
across.
hop on. You can
Just
hop
to give
on.
us a little geographic perspective, like to get from Edgartown to that west point, is how long a drive?
In the summer with, you know, peak traffic on the road, probably 25 minutes, I
It's not
think.
bad.
That's not
And it's a beautiful
30 minutes?
drive, though.
30 minutes.
That's not bad.
You could
What is
ride your bike.
Oh, wow.
We do
It's-
have a great series of bike paths throughout the island, so it is very, very bikeable. But yeah, depending on what you're doing or where you're going, I don't know if you would ride, but you could.
I've done it.
So-
It's
So
painful.
which is the picturesque old time fishing village that I'm imagining when I imagine Martha's Vineyard?
There
Is that
is
Edgartown?
the village of
Menempsha.
Menempsha in Chilmark is your quintessential lobster shacks, little cottages, waterfront rentals.
Imagine Jaws, remember? When
John,
he-
can you zoom up on that map a little?
I'll go find a bigger version and come back.
Okay, great.
So, because when I was a sailor, when we had a sailboat and we took it up to Newport,
Yeah.
and on the way home, we went by Martha's Vineyard. We had a choice to go into Vineyard Haven and Edgartown. And my parents said, "Oh, we've got to go into Edgartown. It's the very quaint, it's the beautiful, town. We can get off the boat. We can get a great meal. It's very walkable center. So that's the place to go, right? Edgartown, if you're a salty sailor pulling into town on your sailboat."
It's actually a little tricky to navigate with a big sailboat. I think it's easier to come into maybe even Vineyard Haven or Oak Bluffs with a big sailboat because they have to come through the channel where Edgartown is separated from Chappaquiddick, and there's a lot of traffic.
There's a lot going on.
I mean, we do
over
have
summer.
some large sailboats that come in, some charter sailboats, and I'll tell you, it's amazing to watch them navigate. It's scary. I would not want to be a sailor coming in.
But once they're in that harbor, it's a pretty deep harbor to a degree, so there's a lot to do after you get in there.
That's right.
So any of the bigger
What
boats,
gave you the impression that I was on a big sailboat? Wait a
the
minute.
bow tie, John, the bow tie.
Right, so.
So, yeah, our harbor isn't, or our, it's definitely not as big as Nantucket. So any of the bigger vessels, they're gonna moor out in like the anchor field, just kind of on the other side of the Chappie Ferry, if you will.
Okay.
The
we don't
airport is
have a
dead
giant harbor.
center?
Dead
Airport
center.
is right in the middle?
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
John, can you pull out on
Wow.
that map a little?
Right, or minimize the map a little bit.
Yeah,
How's that? Better?
no, make it
No.
smaller so we can see the whole island.
yeah, the
Can you
airport
see
is
it
pretty
now?
centrally located.
Nope. it's
Now,
not-
is there a tremendous amount of airport traffic or is that minimized? Because I know that in East Hampton and things like that, there were starting to be a lot of jets and things that were coming in and they were like, we're not doing that.
We definitely had more private activity over the last couple of years with COVID, but we have a great airport. I mean, JetBlue flies in and out. Obviously, Cape Air is a regional service that hits some of the smaller, smaller locations and does commuter service to Boston.
Mhm.
And before you got on, Roberto, we talked a little bit about Katama, which is where South Beach area is. You might see
Right.
that below on there's a landing strip right there that is really not, it's very small, but when
Grass
I was growing
airfield.
up, I used to go fly in there with my dad and have lunch. And it's a grass airstrip.
No tower.
Yeah.
No air traffic control.
So I'm hearing
So how
about
long does it take?
grass airstrips, beach cottages, shacks. Wait a minute, this doesn't sound at all like the Hamptons. This doesn't sound at all like Nantucket.
Yeah, don't
So,
get.
Is it really so unspoiled?
No. There's some areas that are unspoiled, but there are certainly some
Yeah, I mean,
large homes.
we're way
here,
more
too.
developed now since the last time Meredith was here, for sure. Again, we have, great foundations and associations that scoop up large parcels of open land, like the land bank.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and
Yes.
just preserve it and conserve it, and, it's unbuildable. And that's, a super important,
I want to get specific about that. I'm very glad you brought that up. The land bank has a tax of 2% on what? Building or all sales?
all sales.
All sales, 2%. And how much money does that raise in a typical year for the land bank?
I knew you were gonna ask that.
Millions of dollars.
Okay, a
$20
couple million dollars.
Yeah.
At least.
I'm sorry, I don't know the exact
Under
number,
the-
but they have a considerably large sized fund to allow them to kind of jump on these opportunities. So, so they're mainly focused on big tracts of land, conserving them so they don't get developed or overdeveloped or subdivided.
That's great.
And we have an incredible network of walking trails and paths and preserves. It's a real important piece to the vineyard.
So I can imagine there are overwhelming number of like zoning boards. Are they different for each one of these townships?
Absolutely.
They are. So very, very independent, very separate, all individual town halls, different zoning within each town, and also within neighborhoods of each town. So Edgartown is not all one zone. It depends on where you are. We have the historic district of Edgartown Village. We have coastal districts. We have, Katama is just outside of the village on your way down to South Beach, but totally separate zoning rules and regulations.
Are there big glass houses anywhere?
There's a few. I mean, we actually have one listing, which is an incredible new construction offering, very atypical from something you'd see on the Vineyard.
What part?
It's in West Tisbury. So you see that on the left there?
Yep.
Lambert's Cove, you see that?
Right by just to the left of the airport.
You see the Lambert's Cove
Lambert's
beach?
Cove, you see that green pinpoint under McConaughey? Keep going all the way over
There
the
you go.
water, to the
Right
water.
there, you're
Yep,
right there.
right there.
Oh,
So,
It's overlooking the water.
yeah,
It's
brand new
absolutely-
construction, but super modern, rooftop pool, a lot of
Wait,
architecture
yeah.
features that you would not normally see on this island.
Okay, I'll show a picture.
Well, we can go to
And
our
that
website.
required special permission in order to construct that?
We can go to our website.
You know what, as long as he stayed within, it is on a bluff, overlooking the ocean. Yeah, so you have standard zoning requirements that, tell you how far back you have to be from the edge. As far as the design, there was really no crazy restrictions.
can
If
go
you
to
wanted to
Sharon's.
build a round purple house, and that's your choice, as long as you were within the zoning guidelines, you can do that. So this gentleman.
Could
is
you
the-
build a roundhouse in Edgartown?
Not in the village.
Not in the village.
That's what I figured.
But
Almost
yeah, we have a couple really modern contemporaries in Katama, just outside the village, that again, they are actually really, really different from the masses, but they're very cool. They're just different.
Would you like us to share the screen and show you?
Sure.
Yes, please.
and while we're doing that, how many houses are listed right now? What's in inventory?
I think it's, no, it's just.
I know.
this.
I
It's
don't know the
really-
total number.
It's really.
As you know, when you've talked with all these other
Probably
markets before,
45.
our inventory is super low for where we
Yep.
would typically be this time of year.
Britt, did you say 45?
40, 60, yeah, all over the island. It's crazy. That's it.
6-0. 6-0.
About.
All right, well, we are a
That's
town,
low.
New Canaan is a town of 20,000 people, about 7,000 homes, and we have about 55 houses on the market right now,
Right.
Mhm.
down from what I think is normally 250. So
Right.
from 250 down to
Wow.
50. Is that about the same proportion that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think so.
so,
Were we
yeah.
like 30% or whatever off? You want me to just share a screen real fast and just show
Yes,
you?
Please.
What was that?
Oh, boy.
How do we do that? Sure. We're not very tech.
Oh, I thought I had it
here.
all queued up for you,
Alright.
but I don't. So that's not gonna happen. But,
It's that
John, if
green
you,
button,
John, if
green
you,
button on the bottom and then choose which window. No?
yeah, but it's giving me not what I want.
Okay,
I thought I had our website all queued up. Do you have our website queued up, John?
yes.
If you wouldn't mind,
Just go to the home.
properties for sale, and the one that we were just referring to is one of kind of our flagship listings at 32 million.
Minawee 2.
And it should be first, second, or third.
Amazing.
That is on how much land?
It's only.
Not an exceptionally large lot.
2 acres, maybe 2 acres. 3.3.
So it's in West Tisbury, you have 3-acre zoning. That's just unique to
There it
West
is. That's
Tisbury.
that first one there, John.
There it is, John, top left.
Minawee 2.
And Minawitu is,
Oops.
yeah, I know, a lot of blank screens, blank faces there. So
Someone
just
asked about the someone asked about the townhouses out there. Are they ever on the market?
Which,
Townhouse, yes.
we don't have much, Meredith. We have like a family resort out by South Beach called the Winnetou.
Yeah, that's what they were asking about. Sorry.
Yeah, so they have some townhomes called Matakeesit. And yes, they actually are in super high demand. They
bet.
sell immediately. They're not year round. You only have until roughly, I don't know, the end of October to
Yeah.
use the unit, and then they all get shut down.
Wow.
But they are close to South Beach. they're 3 bedrooms. Some have been updated, some haven't. You can rent them all summer long. The hotel will rent them for you.
Okay.
And honestly, as far as price point, I mean, we've seen some recently trade for obviously higher than ever before, but
Yeah.
1.3, 1.4,
No kidding.
1.2, where a couple years ago they were like in the 8s,
Wow.
9s. So, but there's nothing else to buy in that price point. So for
Yeah.
folks that are like, okay, I don't care, it gets me on the island. I
Yeah.
love the location. I have hotel amenities.
Location's amazing.
Right. The unit's been updated. I'm able to rent it. It doesn't have to be your forever home, but it was a stepping stone for a lot of people.
And they're not going to be building anything like that anywhere else at this point, right? Tell us more about this.
Is this one?
That is not our
It's not-
listing, but
Because our website has all of the listings.
we have a feed
But
that
if
comes
you
in.
go back, you'll see.
John,
the
go back to the
listing
fancy one.
exclusive.
Can't touch on that one.
exclusive.
Wow. Which
So,
one?
The
John,
top one.
there was a box for
Sunset.
land.
Right.
Yes.
This is a custom built
Wow.
home. It's actually a spec home. To be
We could talk
honest
to you
with
guys for 2 hours
I
about this
know.
property. So yeah, this particular developer, he likes unique, he likes green technologies.
Biophilic design.
It's got how many layers of biophilic design?
So no one's lived in this house yet?
No, it's not
Correct.
even furnished, just completed, 32.5
Rooftop pool.
rooftop pool, which is insane.
Wow.
all solar.
Stun, a private beach down a little path in front of this house, obviously killer sunsets.
Yeah.
He hand chose every material
Interesting.
from the coral that he used in the bathroom to the Italian marble to this is all teak wood you're looking at.
How many people
No,
have
sorry,
you,
it's eucalyptus.
have you shown this to a lot of people?
At 32.5, not a million people, but we've definitely shown it a handful of
Can I
times.
ask you, so you have a piece of land and you need to build, and there's got to be a certain premium to the fact that you're out on an island, these materials got to get there. There's probably only 1 or 2 really good builders out there, and they're going to charge because there's so much demand. Like, give me a sense. I mean, there has to be a multiple of some sort from building something on, like, just on the Cape, right?
Right, because you have to bring all your material over from the mainland. So it has to come over by boat. So just on the labor alone, but right, roughly anything here is no less than $1,000 a square foot. Just
How's that sound, Scott?
For a house of this caliber.
to build, not even this is probably more, but around $1,000 a square foot for a regular home that you have to be.
So can we take a practical application? There's a couple, they have 2 children. They're actually thinking about buying in the Hamptons. They've looked in the Hamptons a ton. They're exploring other things. They come to you guys and they say, look, we'd like to have a 3-bedroom house. What is there to buy?
Okay, we have something closing. Talk about them in a broad
Massasoit?
sense, No, the land. Right? North Carolina folks.
That's just a land lot.
Exactly,
yeah.
but what he's going to be doing.
I'm sorry, Roberto, do they want to build or they want?
What are the options? Like if someone says, I have, my budget is 3.5 million or 4 million.
Right.
What are the options?
So there's far more options in the 3 to 4 million than there are in the under $1 million. And for, everyday folks like me and Britt, that's kind of where a lot of people are shopping. They want, it's budget conscious. So there, goes back to affordability. It goes back to, just everything is increased in price. So there's not much. 3 to 4, there's a lot of new construction right now. That's popping, 2 years ago, it should have been 3 million. And now it's 4 or 5.
Can
Wow.
you
And those
see
are
my-
spec houses?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
So
Can
we're
you-
seeing a handful of new constructions. We have a couple of builders that literally over the last couple of years have gone in, scooped up really everything that became available outside of the Edgartown Village, going closer to South Beach in an area we call Katama. Anything that was 1.3 and under, which honestly were perfectly acceptable. renovationable properties, and they would just scoop them up, level them, and put up a very typical style house with a drop-in pool and list it for 2,695, and it would sell before it was completed.
Wow.
I have them up on the screen. I have your 2.7 and your 2.9 million
Now,
dollar
these are
house.
different towns. These are different towns.
Right.
Some are in Edgartown, some are in Oak
But
Bluff.
most of these are on a quarter acre, a third of an acre.
You're definitely not going to get a lot of land. I mean, unless you get way up island, according to your map, like West Tisbury has 3 acre zoning. Not that every lot is 3 acres, but that's a conforming lot is 3 acres. Yeah.
Where
And
do we
renting
go
a house
really-
for, if you were to rent a house for July or something like that, for July or like August, what sort of price are you looking at?
In Edgartown?
Sure. I was just looking at one of those houses that was there on,
Sure. So a house with a pool in Edgartown Village in July and August used to be 25,000 a week. Now it's, they're pushing it to like 27.5, 29.5. We're seeing 32. If it's a great house and they're booked solid for July and August. If you get a little, typically with all of our properties in all the towns, if you get a little pop of business in late June or September, it's a bonus. But the money season is going to be your 8 weeks of July and August.
How about
Are there-
out like in Aquina or out in Oak Bluffs?
Less expensive for sure. Although everybody's inflated right now. To be honest, we don't do a lot of rentals. The bulk of our rentals are in Edgartown. They just, our client base that we've had for 30 years, which grows a little bit every single year, it just tends to be their cup of tea. They want Edgartown.
I have to say, I was out there maybe 10, 15 years ago, and there's plenty to rent in terms of B&Bs, little hotels. There's a lot of choices. Obviously, you have to jump on it early, but there's a lot of choices I found in Oak Bluffs and Edgartown for that kind of option.
Yeah, and the VRBOs have become more popular and Airbnbs and all that. That's really, for the most part, the homeowners that just want to manage the entire process themselves. We do an incredible rental business out of our firm. And, obviously the island is filled with agencies, right, that do really strong rental programs. We handle everything soup to nuts, and and we really do carry the majority of the finest homes in Edgartown, especially the waterfronts.
Just quickly for Roberto's perspective, Roberto, in Oak Bluffs, there's a little neighborhood that has all these candy color homes. What's it called again, you guys?
The campground,
Campground.
gingerbread
Yeah.
cottages.
There's some incredible, and they're all just adorable, and they're like in this oval circle, and it's just kind of like a commune,
Yeah.
It's
I'm
really
showing
cool.
this house tomorrow.
I know this
actually.
one, 8 Siloam. So
So
it's
cute.
it goes back to the 1800s, late 1800s.
649. That's a deal.
I
One
know.
bath.
However,
Here's the
the
difference.
kicker.
Yeah.
Outdoor shower.
$1,900 a year just in the campground
Association.
fees. Plus, you do not own the land.
So it's a 99-year lease on the land with the town. So that affects the value. You don't own the dirt under the cottage. But they are priced right. They're not winterized. They're not insulated. They do have, perhaps a heat element, like a monitor, propane monitor.
What is that rent for in August?
A week.
I guess I would
Typically
say
a
like,
week, 10,000, 8. No,
I don't know,
maybe more, less.
we don't rent too many
probably.
of those, but they're less expensive, but
But-
they're in a great location in downtown Oak Bluffs. They're small,
the
though.
ferry
They're
comes
small,
in.
but they're charming.
Yeah, they're probably.
Roberto, that's got 1 bath and it's probably outside.
No, I saw it. It was inside. It was
Some are pretty
inside.
modest, John.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's an outdoor shower though.
There might be.
I
there
don't know,
might
they're
not
they're
be.
right on top of each
They're
other
right
though. if
next
you
to
Oh,
look.
that's true.
Yeah.
So are the overwhelming number of people that come there, are they from Massachusetts? Are they from Connecticut? How many are from New York? Like what is,
So of course, I don't know like the exact breakdown, but we,
of course,
a lot of our rental clients, is that what you're talking about? Summer visitors, summer rentals?
just like who goes there?
I mean, we have long list of clients that come in from the UK, that come in from London every summer. We got a handful that come in from LA, just to get out of the West Coast. But yes,
New York.
during the
Connecticut.
pandemic, it was, if you could drive here, they were coming.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like DC and north, because it was a manageable drive. But
Yeah.
now that COVID is settling down a little bit, honestly, they really come from Chicago. We really have clients from everywhere.
It's
and-
also
and
very
Florida.
easy. I think it's easy to get to. When I lived in Manhattan, I took that ferry once from Manhattan.
Streak, maybe.
Right.
That
there
was
no-
incredible, and that was easy, and got to stay for the weekend, but I took the ferry, and that was part of the adventure. It's
Yep.
also not as far off of the coast as Nantucket is.
Oh, not
That's right.
nearly as far.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's very accessible.
Yep.
Right. Which.
So
Yeah.
Meredith, how would you compare that ferry to like driving to the Hamptons, which is a nightmare on a Friday?
Yeah,
just
and honestly,
said
that's a
it.
great question. And having lived in Manhattan and gone to the Hamptons and then gone to the Vineyard, it's kind of apples and oranges. It could take the same amount of time. It could be equal. Yeah.
We hit traffic. You have to come over the Bourne Bridge to get to Cape Cod. And then, it could be trafficy all the way down to,
Yeah.
town of Woods Hole, where you're going to put your car on the boat.
And
Now,
you could
there's
also
not-
fly from Westchester and be there in 45 minutes.
You
And
pick
that's
an airline.
dream. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
got back to Connecticut last year a couple times on a new
It was called Elite.
charter.
And they were a godsend to everybody coming from Manhattan, Connecticut, because otherwise we have to drive up 95 all the way to the Cape, go over the Bourne Bridge, which can be tricky, but they stopped flying. I don't think that there was enough interest, which I just don't understand, but we have Cape Air, JetBlue flies into LaGuardia. It's pretty simple, but it's expensive.
And we get a lot of private aviation, like
Right.
we have a brand new terminal. So
I think there's some opportunity out of Danbury Airport and Westchester where it's kind of charterish, a little bit of a charter feel, but I think it's easy to put that together, which can be worthwhile.
I think that if you're going to Nantucket, you have to book the ferry months in advance to get your car. It's a commitment, and you have to plan for it well in advance. A lot of people, in contrast to that, like Roberto, if he wants to go out to Southampton or East Hampton, he just probably has to choose when to not hit peak traffic, right? He's going to say, I'm going to go off peak. I'm going to plan my day around going out there, but I know I can get out there on any day. And if a client needs to see me, I can turn around and get back. It seems to me that Martha's Vineyard is somewhere in the middle, not quite as inaccessible as
Right.
Nantucket, another island, but not quite as easy as, I can race in, I can leave tonight and just drive at night and be back in the city, boom, in a couple hours and meet you and take the meeting.
That's
You can't
right.
do that, right? Or are your ferries going like every hour on the hour? And
they
like
do,
clockwork?
they do. For passengers, they do. They pretty much run every hour, and we have multiple ferries. We have the big one there's one boat, Steamship Authority, that takes vehicles. That's the only boat. But there's other options for just passengers. There's a great high speed out of Quonset, Rhode Island, just outside of the Newport area, which from, being Connecticut folks.
That's huge. That's
It's huge.
fantastic.
It's a great boat. They run a great operation. It is, again, it's obviously a longer ferry ride, and the waters could be rough. And multiple times I've had friends get literally halfway out there and the boat says, we're not making the run, and they turn around
No
and go back.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
So, but anyway, it's a great boat, assuming the weather's good.
And there's also Sea Streak, which goes to New Bedford. There's so many options to get to the island.
True.
You have to plan ahead with your car. But
Right.
if you're just coming for the weekend, you really don't need a car. You could rent a car, or you could, if you have friends, maybe someone can pick you up.
So the
but-
whole vehicle ferry reservation thing is a total racket. Like getting concert tickets, they go on sale, and the people that are in the know follow this date, and they wait.
I
for
was
them to go
down,
on
I
sale
was,
in
yeah,
February, January.
I was on the phone in January dialing for dollars for my Block Island ferry for July.
Exactly. Same drill.
Right,
Yeah.
same thing. Same with Nantucket too, right?
Yep.
The only thing I've heard with Nantucket it costs us $250, so round trip to take our car back and forth.
Not
And
if you're an Islander.
Oh, true.
She's not
Nantucket is more, double.
And
That's a
Nantucket,
longer-
you cannot get a ferry reservation for the summer right now on Nantucket.
No
I'm trying to
way.
help somebody rent their place. And he basically started by saying, tell everybody who's interested, they can't get their car on the island, period.
Wow.
So typically, I mean, we're still writing rental leases, very, very last minute. There's little tiny pockets of availability where we're plugging people in, but the phone's still ringing. Everybody still wants to come. The people, that are in the know started booking last fall. We have a lot of rental clients that rebook before they leave. So
Is
before they wind up
September,
booking-
is September becoming more popular?
Yeah, if you don't have kids and they're not going back to school, honestly, September is the best month.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Best month to be here.
Summer weather, no crowds.
Right. I mean, but everything's open, just enough crowds, water's warm, beaches are less packed.
How
It's
cold
fantastic.
is the water really?
It's what, 60.
Don't make me jump
Oh,
in. I told you it's right behind our boathouse here. I don't know.
Now
You
or
saw
the
Jaws. You saw Jaws. You know that the beach is full of people and they're all in the water.
Yeah.
When they-
It's elbow to elbow on those public beaches come after.
They got paid. Or paid extras.
Yeah.
Right.
But
We
that
don't need any-
beach-
we
that
don't need
beach
any more
where they-
extras here. We're
The beach
full.
where they shot that is like a little bathtub.
That's the Chappie Beach where they filmed with all the tents.
Oh, yes.
Happy Beach Club?
Chappie Beach Club.
Okay.
So
Private
tell me
club.
about this $4 million listing of yours in the heart of it's an 1820s house in the heart
It's
of
in rough shape, John. It's in rough shape. So
Gee.
you're in the historic district. It's been in one family forever. We
Wow.
had a builder/developer homeowner buy it last year. He had plans.
Looks like a
Correct.
compound.
It's really just a house and a guest house, but
Okay.
it's in really prime Edgartown location in the business district, also in the historic district. So
you
it's
can't
just,
knock it down. You can't knock it down.
you know what? I don't know. You might have to leave the front, the facade
Right.
up, but it's
So-
historic. It's, a captain's house. It goes back to the 1800s. So it's a big project for someone. The good news is because it's in the business district,
It's so cute.
great opportunity to do multiple units, retail. I mean, technically, I think you could put a restaurant there. It's just,
Or a
it's,
bed and breakfast, maybe.
so the gentleman that picked it up had worked with a prime Edgartown architect and developed plans just to make it a beautiful residential compound. So he was not getting into the business aspect of it, but he was doing probably a 6-bedroom main house, keep the guest house. If you knock it down, you probably wouldn't be able to put it back up, and a pool and a pool house. That's what Edgartown.
So that's sold.
All about.
That's sold.
No, we just relisted it for him because he decided it's too much of a project for him right now.
Okay,
Wow.
let's talk about, because there's very little inventory
Correct.
and the market has to be efficient. So it's like here, if you put something on the market in Manhattan, in the first 10 days, you have a temperature as to whether you are priced right, wrong, where you are. How long this has to, if it's not selling, it has to be overpriced.
Right.
Well, it just popped back on fairly recently. And our selling season, honestly, kind of just started.
Ah,
So, I mean, although we have, really hungry buyers that'll come out here in the winter, if we have a mild winter and they're really aggressive and want to be in a property by the summer, of course, they make day trips and weekend trips to come out here and visit properties.
They will buy things sight unseen too.
Very,
But
Wow.
maybe to answer a little bit of your question too, if things are overpriced, which of course we do have sellers who will overprice things as well, even though we try to give them the facts. We'll probably work on trying to do a price reduction also within,
we tend to use like 4th of July.
right. It's
Oh.
not
There's
just-
proper, because we want, the crowds are barely here yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, we kind of use 4th of July as like a benchmark. Well,
Is that
or
the
Memorial
same-
Day.
Is that the same thinking, Roberto, for the Hamptons?
I mean, it's easier to get to, I think. So there are people that are going constantly.
Yeah.
And I think
okay.
by season, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Scott, what do you think? You're on, yeah,
Somebody's on mute.
you're muted again.
See how many times I can hit a button. That go. There we go. No, I mean, I think you're right on the Hamptons. It's become a little bit more of a year-round selling phenomena. But the big thing is like, are you in by summer? Because if you have to rent, it can be a couple $100,000. So you
Yeah.
better. be-
Cheri and Britt, this Scott Hobbs is a developer and has a beautiful construction company. And Scott, you can give him a quick overview, but they're in he's in the Hamptons in Connecticut.
He builds the big stuff.
Well, and I have great respect for anyone who can build on an island. It's hard enough these days to get, labor and materials if can drive to where you are. And
It's
trying to
a
actually go ahead and do that on Martha's Vineyard is very difficult.
And not just the lead time, but the costs of just everything's gone up, everything
Mhm.
from windows to lumber to, yeah.
Right. But we
So I have
also,
a question in the chat window. What do you see happening on Chappie, especially with the Walsh property coming on? Beachfront seems to hold. What does that mean? What's the Walsh property?
Not familiar.
Okay, so what is Chappie? I guess that's Chappaquiddick. What's
It
the
is Chappaquiddick.
flavor of Chappaquiddick? What's the
Well, it's just a stone's throw across, as Meredith was saying. You got your little 3-car ferry taking you back and forth. I think the love of Chappie is it's an island off an island. It's quiet, sleepy, natural,
Beautiful.
Mhm.
unspoiled, untouched. You can have waterfront. You can have several acres in the middle of the island. You have, a beautiful, dune-filled oceanfront beach.
sounds expensive?
There's no
You know
gas
what?
stations or restaurants.
no,
There's not. It's actually priced lower than right over here in Edgartown Village.
because it's more difficult to get to. However, prices on Chappie are going through the roof as well. I mean, whereas you used to think, oh, well, maybe we can afford something over there. And yes, coming back and forth is a little bit of a hassle. But if you're coming to Martha's Vineyard for the summer, you're not really looking for, nonstop activity. And the ferry is constantly going.
It's a different buyer.
And it's a
Our
different
Chappie
buyer, yeah.
buyers are different. It's totally different buyer. If we have a waterfront home in Edgartown, or not necessarily even waterfront, an Edgartown Village home, a Chappie person would not be that interested, and vice versa. So we have waterfront on Chappie, we have waterfront buyers here. It just again, it's just a different person. The docks are in super high demand, so that may steer them. But if it didn't have a dock, they, again, just it's a personality thing. It's a slower pace over there. And again, if you want to run to the corner store to get milk and diapers, that's not going to happen.
So
But they like it.
ex-presidents seem to love Martha's Vineyard. If you're an ex-president, where do you go on Martha's Vineyard when you're looking for your 30-acre place to get away? I would imagine what you're telling me about Chappie sounds like the perfect thing. I can get away from everybody, and the pace is a lot slower.
Yeah,
So
privacy
is that
is
where they
important.
go?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, the Kennedys frequented Chappaquiddick. As we know, past president does live in Edgartown, Obama. However, he's a little bit outside of he's not in the village.
Okay.
So in a very secluded part of Edgartown on, Edgartown Great Pond, down a long, mile-long driveway with Secret Service at the very beginning of the driveway. So, when the Obamas come, they're just
You know what,
not-
they
not-
love,
they love
they're
coming.
actually quite social.
Yeah.
So, although they're on multiple acres, I forget, 11 or 15 acres. We
Mhm.
sold them the property. We were fortunate enough to work with great clients like the Obamas.
Mhm.
And they have a wonderful spot. It surprised us that they focus on Edgartown because typically they would rent up island. Again,
What's Up Island mean?
like outside of town on your map there, John, Chilmark in particular.
Okay.
And didn't Mrs. Kennedy Onassis have a place that was recently sold, maybe?
Correct.
Yeah, so we had we were very fortunate to work with that family. We had the listing for that property, and it ended
You
up
girls
going
are rock stars. Wow.
Well,
Yeah, I was
our
gonna
office,
say.
our
Office.
office, okay, our
Okay.
part.
it
chief
ended up
partners.
going into conservation, which is the perfect land
Fantastic.
for that property.
Yes,
So it made
yes.
everyone very, very happy, including the family.
So where did the Clintons go? Where on the island do they like to?
They've rented in Herring Creek Farm, which is
Wherever anybody would invite them for free.
and also again Chilmark. It seems like Chilmark, you have again the acreage, the rolling hills, stone walls, privacy. They always had Secret Service. They always had multiple staff,
We see where Chilmark is,
requirements.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you just need more space. You would not typically find them renting in the heart of Edgartown Village.
So regionally, where's the best value and what is what's the compromise? Why is it the value?
The best value, probably what would be the least expensive, would be probably Vineyard Haven. It's more of a port city.
It's
It's
very
more-
nice.
It is
It's
very
fun.
nice and
Yeah.
love parts of Vineyard Haven by far, but it is more of a port industrial
Okay.
city. That's, where it's the closest. It's the
Distance
closest
to the
distance
Cape.
to the Cape.
It's where the steamship comes in.
Mhm.
It's got a bustling main street. It is polished and proper like Edgartown, but the price tags are not Edgartown.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I
still,
think-
as you can see, it's still very hard to find something under $1 million. So.
But yeah, I'd say the good values in Vineyard Haven, you're right.
Probably,
Yeah,
right, would
yeah,
be the,
Yeah.
maybe parts of Oak Bluffs, maybe?
Now,
No.
surprisingly though, Vineyard Haven has I think the highest or second highest taxes.
Mm.
So it's a trade-off, right?
So how does the actual economy work in Martha's Vineyard, where the workers need a place to stay, ranging from anyone from you all through the barista, through the guy who cuts the lawn or paints the house or anything else? Do workers come from off island on a daily basis or a seasonal basis? Are there working class neighborhoods? What's going on for like affordable housing or, trying to get workforce housing?
So that is a very big topic on the island. And there's actually, parts of the island that are very focused on affordable housing. It's a housing crisis. And I think we have this just like any other resort town. Nantucket has it too. Parts of, all over the world has it, because the fact that once the pandemic boom hit, everyone sold everything because the prices were so phenomenal. So our restaurant owners cannot get people. We would typically get folks from all over the world, expats coming, and then they would have a nice big boarding house for them. They sold all those. So
Wow.
we have a really, really big problem. I wish I was a little bit more up to speed on really some of the politics of that, but there is certainly affordable housing in the works, but it's not enough. It is not enough. There's not nearly enough housing. So what do you do? I think there are other parts of the country that are going through this as well. And I don't think there's an easy answer for this.
But in putting it on an island though, makes it even tougher. And how long is the actual ferry in the morning?
Right, so a lot of workers,
50 minutes?
they come
Or
over
the Patriot, yep.
the Patriot, so they'll jump on in Falmouth and they'll come over, it's what, 50, not 50, I don't know, 25 minutes? So they will come back and forth for the day. So a lot
And
of,
it's more of a worker boat.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets literally workers from here to there.
we have a very big wharf. We have the Memorial Wharf right outside of our office, and Edgartown is sinking because just like many other ports, unfortunately, we are going lower and lower into the sea. So they're raising the Memorial Wharf. So all of those workers have to come over and work every day. So they're union, I mean, so it's taking much
Right,
longer than they anticipated. So that's probably a very big part of a very big crisis is the housing.
So I mean, there's some initiatives in the works. I mean, it's a big issue. I mean, we have some folks that are willing to contribute to the cause, and we do have an affordable housing program where properties go into not auction, but almost a bid situation, and you have to apply and you have to qualify, and you're used to this probably from other areas. And we personally know people that have benefited from the program and they are now homeowners of very cute, well-constructed, brand new homes that they typically wouldn't have been able to afford before. So that program is great. But in general, again, when we're talking about staffing and workers and restaurants, I mean, our UPS drivers they don't live here. They come over every single day from the mainland. We have nurses at the hospital that come over it's just part of their commute, right? A lot of us sit on 95 to get to Stamford. They sit on the boat to come across. So it's just part of their commute. It's something you get used to when you work on an island. But all relevant questions and concerns. I mean, there's no perfect answer right now. There's definitely a lot of initiatives in the works. Rentals for the everyday people or the families, very, very limited. It's close to impossible to find a year-round rental. So what we end up doing here a lot is kind of the Vineyard Shuffle, where you're going to find a place for the winter, probably pretty easily. But guess what? Summer rental season's approaching. Homeowners want to cash in, and you're out, and they want to do weekly rentals at 5 times what you would be willing to pay for the month. And that's just the
Probably
business.
similar to the Hamptons. I would imagine it's.
Our
The
rentals
weekly
are-
rental becomes complicated. It's really
Yeah.
more monthly.
Yeah. So
Right.
if you're lucky enough to score a year-round rental, you try your hardest never to give it up.
A lot of people in the Hamptons and the working class type, it's like you go ahead and you move out and you move in with your parents or double up or triple
A
or
friend
quadruple up.
or yep.
You make
it's
all of
that
your
same
mortgage
level.
and tax money in the 2 months and you live for free for the rest of the year.
That's right.
And again, it's strong. The strong rental program makes, the sales more encouraging because they start running the numbers on, well, what am I, to try to make it work? What am I gonna be able to rent it for? How many weeks? All of a sudden it does make the numbers work.
Do you
Are
see
you guys on the island the majority of the year?
Say that again?
Are you guys on the island the majority of the year?
Yeah, I'm year round.
I'm here.
Britt's here in the
6
summer.
months.
Well, until Columbus Day.
Right. Right.
And how about the school system? I mean, how many children are on the island year round? School year round?
We have one high school for the whole island, but each town has its own grammar school and nursery schools and Montessori schools. There's a handful of
Elementary to
those,
middle
elementary.
school. Right.
I don't know the number on how many kids are enrolled.
I mean, you figure there's 20,000 full-time. Right?
Families.
20,000 people. So
Used to be about 13,000.
Wow.
Now
Probably about 4,000. Our school system is 4,200 people
it
in
is.
it, all grades, and we're a town of 20,000.
right.
So. And we can handle that with 1 high school, 1 middle school, and 3 lower schools. Is that about what you have?
Yeah, I mean, each town, we have 6 towns. Each town has at least one school,
Elementary,
school.
and we have 1 high school.
There's a Montessori school on the island too. So,
Yeah.
it seems to, I mean, and the high school is, I think there's about 300 per grade, freshman through, senior.
Same here.
Same in New Canaan?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly 1,100, 1,200 in the town.
We really do have a
In
good,
high school.
great school system.
It's a very
I have a
close-
question here. How far in advance should the regular renter book?
like a summer
Before they
rental.
leave. Before they leave their current rental, they should rebook for the next following year. But, right after Labor Day, we start really aggressively booking. Typically the current vacation winds down, kids go back to school, mom and dad go back to work. kinda
Okay,
get-
Dejani Brown
situated.
is a regular, I think she is a regular renter. She's asking the question, what exactly is a regular renter anyway? And have you already gotten your reservation in?
Dejanae Brown, and I'm piggybacking off of what one of the ladies said. She said regular renter, so I'm just following her.
Got it. So you know
I'm
the drill.
hoping to become a regular renter. I've been trying to
hope
get
so
out there
too.
for a couple summers. So I just wanted a little rundown.
Yeah,
You guys
so
mentioned, where the young people go. So where would one go for like the nightlife, but also to relax, get the beach?
I mean, I think you're
Oak
between
Bluffs
Oak Bluffs and Edgartown.
Or Edgartown, yes.
The other towns are gonna be quiet, sleepy, beautiful, no nightlife,
Vineyard
Okay.
Haven actually is a dry town too, believe it or not. No
all day
alcohol.
beer and wine.
Oh,
Okay.
beer. I know.
Okay,
Maybe full bar
I think
now.
that's what I read.
Oak Bluffs or Edgartown. So certainly.
But you know what? It's, I'm sorry, you haven't been here before or you have?
No,
Oh, all
We
right.
have to
So
come visit.
you gotta kind of
I
figure it
know.
out for yourself, right? On your first visit, because each town has its own vibe. And there's nothing
Right.
wrong with falling in love with Chilmark because it's acres of beautiful rolling hills, pastures, stone walls, horses in the distance, water views. And it depends on what kind of vacation you want to have. And maybe you identify 2 nights that week where you're going to head into Edgartown for dinner and nightlife. And for the rest of the time, you're up island on a much quieter beach in a much more private atmosphere. And you don't need the scene every single day. Some people do.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we live in it. We love it. But so it really depends on what type of vacation you're looking to have.
Okay, and you said to start booking after Memorial Day.
Yeah, if you're thinking of
is
coming
the
next
best time.
summer, yeah, reach out to us in September.
Oh,
And
okay.
at least then you have kind of your pick of the dates
Right.
and you have your pick of the properties. If you want to
Wow.
go later in the winter and you're pushing January, February, it really is slim pickings and you're not going to find exactly what you're looking for. And then ferry reservations are going to go on sale and you got to jump on those.
Right.
Oh, wow.
The earlier the better.
What about
Okay.
hotels and B&Bs? Someone doesn't have $15,000 to be there for an entire week, and they're like, I want to get to know this and just kind of cruise around for a couple of days just to get the lay of the land for next year. Are there places to stay?
Oh, yeah, there's many hotels and Airbnbs and depending on all different price points. However, it's the same thing. They're all booked. People book in advance. There's a lot of action here in the summer, just like any place else. And what we've been finding since the pandemic, people are coming back out in droves. So there's plenty of hotels, but they're all booked up too, very quickly.
And just keep in mind, we are, at least a couple years ago, we were the second most popular location for weddings under Las Vegas.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so
Is it-
not
I know,
that, I
right?
mean, most
Shocking.
weddings are gonna be in May, June, and September and October, but there's enough that are sprinkled in July and August to scoop up all of our hotel rooms.
Is that because everybody wants a wedding on the beach?
They love the whole, right, they love the,
I think it's the whole vibe. It's the island, having a wedding. It's a destination wedding on an island. Yes, we
With a
have
tent
beautiful
outside.
tents
Yeah,
outside.
a lot
yep,
of tents
yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no limit to the ferry. I want to go. I can definitely at least get on the ferry.
That's right. You can walk on the
You
ferry.
can walk on, but if you want to bring your car on, that takes advanced planning.
Yeah, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
But it's also exciting. It's an adventure without getting on an airplane. Most of those folks are probably New Englanders that are having their weddings here.
Right. Yeah.
You say, oh yeah, Airbnbs and hotels, we have rules. We don't even have Airbnbs. It's not allowed in our town.
Oh,
So,
cool.
and when you talk about seasonal rental, we don't have really, until COVID, it didn't exist. There were none, zero, maybe one in the entire town of New Canaan. So for a lot of us, we have no idea. And so when Roberto just said, yeah, they're not really designed to do week-long. Most of the Hamptons is month-long rentals. I'm surprised to hear that. And so when you talk about this, you say people go for the whole summer or do they go by the week?
Some people rent for an entire month.
Our office in particular does a lot of longer rentals. So we don't do nearly as many rental leases as some of the other agencies who just crank them out and they do 1 week, 1 week, 1 week all day long. So our kind of niche is the longer stays, full months for sure, 3 weeks.
But it sounds like the community has all of the above. I can go for a long weekend.
Yes.
I can go for a week. I can go
Yep.
for a month. But in all cases, I need prior planning, all cases.
You need prior planning in all cases, and you're probably not going to get a rental for less than 1 week because no one will break up that
Right.
week. No one will do unless you're coming in March, no one will do a 3-night stay. Again, unless it's an Airbnb and it's a homeowner who's renting out their guest house. But typically through the rental agencies, you, unless it's super off season, you won't find that anyone will do less than a week. Because
And what's the fee structure? Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Fee structure?
I was just curious what the fee structure was.
You mean like on a rental lease?
Yeah, I want to come out there and I want to rent, I'm going to spend $10,000 or $20,000 for a week. What am I paying you guys, or who pays what?
Yep, so the commission comes from the homeowner, not you. So it's just built into the lease. We take our portion and then we give them the balance. You as the tenant, as of 2 years ago, we now have a short-term rental tax, which I'm sure you've heard of in other locations. So the percentage varies town by town. In Edgartown in particular, where we do most of our leases, it is 4% for the town of Edgartown and 5.7% for the state. So that's 5.4 and 9, yeah, it's like 9.7%, almost 10%. So it's a big chunk. It is for all leases less than 31 days. So it's another reason to encourage our people to stay a little bit longer, because they're going to get whacked with tax.
Wow.
So they'd rather spend more money to stay another week in the house rather than pay 10% tax.
And
What about let's say you have a full summer. Are they paying the gardener? Are they paying the pool guy? Are they
Nope.
paying?
Nope, that's all on the homeowner. So we have a couple that will scoop up, a couple clients that will scoop up at least for all of July and August. But those types of service providers are all the responsibility of the landlord, of the homeowner. So the
Not in
pool
the
guy,
hands
the pool guy's gonna, the one thing we see is like pool heat, the propane. We have some homeowners that even though they're getting literally $65,000 a week, they will charge for added propane for the pool.
And the commission.
Landscapers, that's on the homeowner. They're on their normal schedule. Grass is getting cut, pool's getting cleaned.
Great.
They want additional services like daily housekeeping and things like that. That is on them. We will arrange it, but that's on them, and we'll settle that up directly. But
That's great.
that's it. That's really it for fees. Yeah, the commission's not paid by the tenant, it's paid by the landlord. So,
And what is that, 15%?
15%.
15%.
What about taxes on a sale? You have just for easy numbers, you have a $1 million house. What's the tax for the seller?
Are you?
For the seller.
Like, is there a transfer tax of some sort that gets paid to the state and gets paid to the township?
Besides the land trust tax.
Right, we
Well,
got
that's for the
2%
buyer,
land bank
right.
for the buyer. Unless you're a first time home buyer anywhere, not just on the Vineyard, but anywhere, they're exempt up to the first like 750,000. Thankfully, it used to be 4, then 5, then 6. So it got raised, which is great because you can't really buy much for 500,000.
I think the
So-
seller has the 1% tax here.
Yeah, there's definitely transfer taxes. I'm not sure exactly, that's obviously all in the closing statement, but I'm not sure exactly what the rate is.
In Connecticut, it's roughly 1.25%, 1.5% transfer tax. So, and they're talking about having a buyer's tax and a seller's tax. So they're looking at new transfer taxes all the time. And we're talking about having a land bank tax also. The legislature in Connecticut made it possible for towns to institute a land bank tax, but each town makes their own decision.
Well, and one thing that's being talked about right now with mixed reviews is implementing another tax in addition to the 2% land bank that would go into a fund towards affordable housing.
Right.
So it's just kind of being taught, it would be, but again, that's on the buyer. 2% to a lot of our buyers is already a lot of money on top of an already inflated list price. Again, it's going to affect a certain clientele, right? Just like the rising mortgage rates doesn't affect, a certain.
Hopefully they'll do it on a graduated scale. Like there's a mansion tax here that used to be 1% of the value over $1 million. Now, when you hit 2 million, it's like 1.25. You hit 3 million, it's 1.5. It starts, when you get to 25 million, the tax is like $900,000. It's crazy.
Right. And we sell $20 million properties every year. Believe it or not, many of them, but every year, at least 2 to 3.
Wow.
So those buyers are always here a little bit.
Why do you suppose they're picking Martha's Vineyard instead of Nantucket or the Hamptons or Block Island or the Cape? There's a lot of choices if you have $25 million. Why
Very
Martha's
different
Vineyard?
islands.
And they might have an emotional pull to this island. They might already have, it's very generational, just like Nantucket would be, right? Just like Block Island would be, just like the Hamptons would be. We find a lot of multi-generational families here, or emotional, or maybe it's a location preference for them. But we find that people are very strong about how they feel about Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. You either love one or the other, right? So, sometimes it comes down to that. And Martha's Vineyard is less expensive than Nantucket. It is, but so I think there's a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it before. It's easier to get to. Again, if you're flying in private, doesn't matter if you're flying to the Vineyard or the Hamptons or Nantucket. But for the masses, it's easier to get to. I mean, all you need is bad weather to completely interfere with your travel arrangements. And we see every day alerts saying that the boats to Nantucket have been canceled. Ours are still running, but it could be high winds, could be a blizzard, could be anyway. So I think that's part of it. It's also, I feel like we're just more diverse. We're a bigger island with more towns, and I just feel the makeup of our island is just far more diverse. So I think we appeal to just a wider range of people.
Have you guys done anything in Nantucket? Have you guys done anything in Nantucket, or is that a completely different designation?
It is a different destination. We
don't have an office
Yeah, we
there.
don't.
We were talking to our principal brokers the other day, and we're like, why don't you have an office there? And their focus is so solely on the Vineyard. It's just like if a Connecticut broker, you have to concentrate really on one or two towns.
Sure, it's a specialization. Totally, I
They
get it.
also said it's completely saturated with agents, right? They're like, you throw a rock, you're going to hit an agent. I mean, we can open an office there tomorrow. Our office has been unbelievably successful over the last 30 years with this market, specializing in the finest properties, the waterfronts, the big generational properties, that are finally starting to turn over. But I think you may see a LandVest office pop open on Nantucket
at some
Very
point.
cool.
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway? It's 5:05. I think what I just heard was the 3 big reasons why Martha's Vineyard. It's easier to get to because the ferry's always running. It's more affordable. I heard that.
a little bit.
And what was the third one? It's more
More
diverse.
diverse.
I like that. That's a great 3 reasons to go to Martha's Vineyard this
There's a
summer.
lot going on over here. There's a lot to
Even
do.
better reason to go this winter, right? When I can get a reservation.
That's right. You don't have to wait till winter. Just wait till after Labor Day.
I mean, if you come
Okay.
in September, you can easily get a hotel room. The beaches are beautiful. The water's still warm. It's the best time.
We would love to see you.
See, Roberto's still got kids in school, but I'm old.
That's
My
right. You
kids,
can come in September.
I'm coming.
Mhm.
There you go. Good.
Book me a room. I'm coming.
Sounds great. That sounds great.
Although then September's wedding season, so
It's
better
true.
get on those reservations. I
That's
know,
right.
it's not one thing, it's another.
Maybe I can just go wedding hopping.
There
You
you
can,
go.
crashing or
Crashing.
hopping, yeah.
I love that
Okay.
idea.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you so much, Britt. This was a really fun hour. We got to do a lot of show and tell and learned a lot about Martha's
Well,
Vineyard.
we've never
Hope you
done this
come back.
before,
I
so
know,
thank you for
we hope
making
we
it
didn't blow it.
comfortable.
Really, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy that Meredith helped put this together. She was great.
Yeah, me too.
So
Thank
thanks.
you, Meredith.
Maybe we'll do it again.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
And
guys.
thanks
Have a good
always,
night.
Roberto.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.